Hello and welcome to Staying Alive. I'm David Hunt. This is a panel show about our ageing community, and it's a very important show, so make sure you concentrate on everything we're doing. On the panel with me is Greg. Hello, Greg.
David, how are you?
Good. And Gordon. Hello.
Hi, David, how are you?
I'm very well, thanks.
That's good.
Now, the topic I want to start off with today is marriage equality. This time last year we were talking about it, and we're still in the same situation. What's your thoughts, Greg?
Well, actually, we're in a worse situation, I believe, because we're facing a plebiscite. We have the Turnbull government who now thinks that they're going to hold it off till after the election and then promise a plebiscite, which is really a platform for the prejudiced and the homophobes to get up equally and spout their toxic garbage, their harming language for everyone to hear. It puts the homophobes on exactly the same platform as the rest of the people who want marriage equality. Yep. It's a disaster. So plebiscite, that's where we're at. I think we have stepped back a long way from where we were 12 months ago, David.
Gordon?
Well, my opinion is that the government should be doing the passing the law. They're elected to pass the laws that the people want, and the people have voted with their feet, and like more than 70% of the population say yes to equal marriage, and yet we've got these people that are being controlled by the Christian lobby and all the rest of them, so that and the only way Mr Turnbull got into power was to promise the right wing of the faction that he would do what Tony Abbott wanted him to do and have a plebiscite. To me, it's a waste of $30 million or $40 million or something rather. Just get on and pass the bloody law.
Absolutely. And the big thing that I'm hearing on a daily basis from the wider community is that people are sick of this. They want to move on. They want it out of the way because there's more important issues to deal with. And everyone thinks, well, why wasn't it passed 12 months ago or even longer?
Yeah, you're right. There's so much that's locked in. It's a logjam. We have marriage equality still being discussed. Volunteerism in LGBTI community is stalled with majority of activism around marriage equality, and other community groups can't get a look in with volunteers. It's actually halting volunteers' energy and juices. And if we can overcome that and get marriage in place, people will start to do other things like violence, work against violence, against prejudice, homophobia, discrimination, work for elderly people, support vintage men, support all the different groups that are out there that need more done than just marriage.
Yep.
Gordon? Yeah, this is true, of course, because we are being held back. And what they're now doing, of course, is bringing in trying to get other things up as well. Like you've got now talking about further on GST and all the rest of that nonsense. Get rid of this. I always say the sky hasn't fallen on New Zealand, in Britain, in America, in Argentina, Ireland, anywhere. It's not fallen. Chicken Licken's still walking around. So why the hell are our governments sort of procrastinating?
What I also think, like, as I was saying, the broader community, but I think our community is pulling back, not pulling back, but not having a large enough voice anymore. I think that we're become very lethargic about it as well, which will ramp up if we have to go to this vote. But do you know what? I think that our community isn't being as vocal right this very moment as they should.
There's also another problem. Well, it's not a problem. When John Howard put as Prime Minister and brought in the law that stopped marriage equality, back 12 years ago, there wasn't a plebiscite to do that. It was a vote of Parliament that brought the law in, changed the Marriage Act, and away we went. So why should we have to go through a plebiscite to undo what Abbott did 12 years ago?
Exactly right. And the whole thing is that that was never, in the Marriage Act, there was never anything about between a man and a woman. It was never there, but Howard put it in because that was the way the Christian people wanted him to do it. You know?
And I also feel that one of the big stories that we're not pushing out there, our community's not pushing out there, is the fact is that, like as you were saying, the sky's not going to fall down. But it doesn't have to, the conventional religions, it doesn't have to involve them. They can still say, like the Catholics and the Church of England, they can still say, we're not going to marry you in our church, but let us have the right to get married in so many other ways, which the bulk of the people are now anyway.
It's not all the religions though. We're talking about, if you're talking Catholic Church, it's the 9 bishops. They're the ones that are the blockers. The bishops at the top of the food chain, they're the blockers. The people in the congregations largely are our allies around marriage equality.
Absolutely.
But what they should do is change the law to operate like they do in France. you can only get married in a registry office. Then you can go off and have a wedding in a church if you want to, if the church will marry you.
Okay.
But your marriage is not acceptable in France unless you get married in a registry office. There's no such thing as a church marriage anymore in France.
So it's secular marriage.
It's a
totally
secular
separate
marriage,
to
and that's
religion.
it. And then if you want to go off and have a church ceremony, you can.
Yeah.
But why can't we do that here, for instance? It's so simple.
I agree with you were saying that the average Catholic is all for same-sex marriage, but Catholic people are, because I was brought up Catholic, and my family sort of still are. And like they don't take a lot of notice of what the Vatican's telling them, with this or that and the other. Like Catholics make up their own mind. They're not swayed by what the church is saying, which is apart from a small majority, and it was minority, not majority, and so therefore it's time to move on with this. Like I think we are all at this stage where we need to move on, but I think that we need to really stand up and be counted more now before the next election, that the government will come out at the other end of the election and say, come on, we'll just pass it.
How would you do that? I'd say, David, we all go down en masse and we sit at the front door of our local Liberal Party member of Parliament that's blocking this. In my case, Kelly O'Dwyer.
Yeah.
I'll be down at your front door.
No, but she's for it.
She says for it,
Yeah.
but what does she say in the party room?
Oh,
We
well,
don't know what politicians say. They speak with forked tongues. Like, for example, she says in GST, don't talk to me, talk to the Treasurer. She's the Assistant Treasurer, but she's actually the one that was advocating for it back in the days of the committee in the last Abbott government.
Yeah.
So let's sit on their doorsteps until they come out and say, no plebiscite, straight to a vote. Let's go and sit at every politician's doorstep.
Yeah, I think, as I said, that we've got to stand up and be counted here. So it's something that please all think about it, no matter like what your feelings are about it. We've got to move on from it, and please don't get caught up with everyone else can do it. I don't want to do it.
True.
I think we can get off our soapbox now. I think we've
good.
got our point across, but we've got to do something about it. Thank you so much for listening and watching this episode of Staying Alive. Thank you, Greg, for being here.
David.
Thank you, Gordon, for being here.
It's a pleasure.
And we'll see you soon.